was February 1948, and the location was roughly the same place where Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 was last seen on radar in 2014, the Strait of Malacca. This is a narrow stretch of ocean between Malaysia and Indonesia, a major shipping lane where thousands of vessels pass through. That day, the weather was completely clear, the sea was calm, and the wind was perfectly peaceful, just like any other ordinary day. Several American and British ships were traveling along this route. Welcome to another video from Voxen TV. If you love stories like this, hit that subscribe button. It's the easiest way to keep us bringing you more. Everything was completely normal until the radios of multiple ships in the area suddenly picked up a bizarre signal. This strange signal was in Morse code. Now, Morse code might be an old-school way of communicating, but it was far more reliable than voice messages. Normally, if you transmit a voice over the radio, it depends on distance. Atmospheric obstacles like fog, dust, humidity, and line of sight. When there is interference, the audio message doesn't fully reach the receiver. It either fades out or arrives with heavy distortion. In contrast, Morse code is just a combination of dots and dashes that can be easily decoded into full English sentences at the receiving end. The biggest advantage of Morse code is that it can be sent across thousands of miles, cutting right through atmospheric interference. The Morse code received by the ships in the Malacca Strait that day started like this: 3 dots, 3 dashes, and then 3 dots again. This exact pattern repeated twice, followed by a long, continuous string of dots and dashes. When decoded, that opening pattern meant SOS, SOS. The translation of the entire message read, SOS, SOS, from steamship SS Ourang Medan, requesting ships with shortwave wireless to contact a doctor immediately. That was the first message. Then, without any pause, a second message came through. Its translation was chilling. Second officer likely dead. Other crew members are also dead. Do not provide medical advice. SOS, requesting immediate assistance from a warship. After this second message, the Ourang Medan transmitted its coordinates and then sent one final incomplete message. The last transmission simply said, "I die," and then the message ended. Following that final transmission, a long silence fell over the radio. The radio operators on the other ships immediately replied, but no answer came back. This dead silence lasted for several minutes, and it became terrifyingly clear to every ship that had received the signal that something horrific had happened aboard the SS Ourang Medan. After receiving these terrifying messages, an American merchant ship named the Silver Star, which was the closest vessel to the coordinates, decided to act. The captain of the Silver Star changed course and sped toward the SS Ourang Medan. Initially, they assumed the ship was either sinking or had been attacked. After several hours of travel, the Silver Star neared the location, and through their binoculars, they confirmed that a ship was indeed sitting right at those coordinates. As they pulled closer, the crew of the Silver Star was baffled to see that the SS Ourang Medan was in perfect condition. The ship wasn't damaged anywhere, and there were no signs of it taking on water. It was just silently floating on the ocean. If anything was strange, it was that despite being a steamship, there was no smoke coming from its chimney. But the most unsettling part was the absolute lack of movement on the deck. It was a massive ship, yet completely dead silent. The captain of the Silver Star was completely confused. He called out multiple times over the loudspeaker and blasted the ship's horn, but there was no sound other than the ocean waves crashing against the hull. Finally, the captain decided to send a boarding party over to uncover the mystery. As the rescue team climbed aboard the SS Ourang Medan, the atmosphere immediately felt incredibly cold and dead silent. That is when they spotted the first body. It wasn't an ordinary corpse. The man's face was twisted in pure terror. His eyes were wide open and his mouth was agape. It looked as if he had witnessed something unimaginably horrifying right before he died. His body was stiff, with his arms stretched out in front of him, as if he had been desperately trying to stop something or push something away. As the rescue team moved further in, they found more bodies. Corpses were scattered everywhere across the deck. The captain was dead at his post. The other officers were dead on the bridge. They even found the ship's dog dead. And the dog's death didn't look natural either. It was completely stiff, with its mouth locked open in a snarl. The most shocking detail was that there wasn't a single wound on any of the bodies. No bleeding, no blunt force trauma, no signs of any struggle or fight. Every single one of them just had that exact same expression of sheer terror frozen on their faces. When the rescue team finally reached the radio room, they found the body of the radio operator, the man who had sent those frantic messages. His fingers were still resting on the Morse code key, frozen in the exact position they were in when he sent the final message. I die. One thing was absolutely certain to the Silver Star's rescue team. Something highly unnatural had happened here. Because there were no visible injuries, it literally looked like the entire crew had been scared to death. At this point, they made the decision to tow the ship to the nearest port so a full investigation could be conducted. But just as the rescue team started attaching the tow lines, thick smoke began pouring out of the lower section of the ship, specifically cargo hold number 4. At first, it was just a little smoke, but within seconds, a massive fire erupted. The flames spread so violently and quickly that the rescue team had no choice but to run. They immediately scrambled back into their small boats and rowed for their lives back to the Silver Star. The moment they were safely back aboard their own ship, a catastrophic explosion ripped through the SS Ourang Medan. The blast was so powerful it scattered debris far and wide across the ocean. Right before their eyes, the mysterious ship, along with all its dark secrets and terrifying corpses, sank deep into the sea. Now, there was absolutely zero physical evidence left. The only proof that this ever happened was the eyewitness testimony of the Silver Star's crew. Because the evidence was gone, many people wrote the entire event off as a fabricated ghost story, while others started spinning wild conspiracy theories. Some researchers argued that a ship named the SS Ourang Medan was never even officially registered. Lloyd's Register of Shipping, which keeps records of every ship in the world, had absolutely no listing for it. But on the other hand, researchers who believe the story point out that this was the era immediately following World War II. During that time, it was very common for ships to operate under fake names or avoid registration altogether. It is highly possible the SS Ourang Medan was one of these unregistered ships, perhaps because it was involved in highly illegal operations. Years later, in 1954, an article was published in a Dutch newspaper detailing the entire incident of the SS Ourang Medan. It even included interviews with a few men who claimed to have previously worked on the mysterious ship. Some of these alleged former crew members stated that the Ourang Medan was frequently used to smuggle illegal goods, which perfectly explains why it wasn't registered. However, when investigators tried to use these statements to track down the ship's owner, they hit a dead end due to a lack of solid proof. Decades later, in May 2003, the CIA declassified a batch of secret files, and shockingly, one of them was directly related to the mysterious SS Ourang Medan. It was a letter written to the CIA on May 29, 1958. In the letter, the author detailed the entire tragedy and stated, "I am convinced that if the tragedy of the SS Ourang Medan is solved, we will find the answers to many of the airplane and ship disappearances in this area." It is unclear if the CIA ever actually investigated this letter, but they kept it locked away in their secret files for 45 years before finally releasing it to the public. It can still be found on the CIA's website today. At the time, the most widely accepted and logical theory was that the SS Ourang Medan was loaded with highly dangerous chemicals. Keep in mind, World War II had just recently ended, and Japan and Germany possessed massive stockpiles of deadly chemical weapons. The leading theory suggests that this ship was smuggling these lethal chemicals, specifically potassium cyanide or nitroglycerin. According to experts, if ocean salt water mixes with potassium cyanide, it creates a highly toxic, lethal gas. If inhaled, it reacts chemically in the lungs, causing almost instant death by asphyxiation. This theory perfectly explains why none of the bodies had any physical wounds or trauma. As for nitroglycerin, it is a highly volatile, explosive chemical. If it is not stored perfectly, it can detonate on its own. It is very likely that the sudden fire the rescue team witnessed was a direct result of this unstable chemical igniter. Another incredibly dark angle connects the ship to Unit 731. This was a horrific unit of the Japanese Imperial Army, infamous for conducting brutal biological experiments on human beings. After the U.S. intervention and Japan's surrender, America secretly recruited many of these scientists. It is entirely possible that this ship was covertly transporting those exact secret biological weapons or experimental chemicals, and a massive leak wiped out the entire crew. Because it was a highly classified black op, the ship was purposely left off all official registries. And when the CIA declassified that letter 45 years later, it only made people believe this theory even more. But there is another fascinating detail. The crew of the Silver Star reported that the atmosphere aboard the ghost ship felt incredibly heavy and unnatural. The fact that even the dog was dead and frozen in an aggressive, terrified posture suggests that it might have been barking at or terrified by something it saw. This specific detail pulls the mystery straight into the realm of the supernatural. The true story of the SS Ourang Medan remains buried somewhere deep at the bottom of the ocean. We can only guess at what really happened. If we look at it logically, the chemical leak theory makes the most sense. Smuggling horrific chemicals from Japanese war crimes, combined with terrible safety protocols, ultimately cost those poor sailors their lives. This story is one of the rare legends that reminds us just how many dark secrets the ocean is hiding. Even today, when seasoned sailors pass through the Strait of Malacca, they still talk about the SS Ourang Medan. It is a chilling reminder that no matter how advanced human technology becomes, we are still completely helpless against the sheer power of nature and fate. Thanks for watching Voxen TV. If this story was worth your time, drop a like and hit subscribe. It genuinely helps us grow. See you in the next one.